Good evening and welcome. And all of those that are joining us at a later time, as well as those that are here and those that will be coming in to join us. This is a very special service called our Blue Christmas Service. And it is one to honor and commemorate those loved ones and that we have experienced as moving forward and graduating into their next level of existence. And so this is a powerful night, one that moves many different experiences for us. So as we begin this evening, I want to share that what we're going to do is just start with some music with Ellen Rogers, and then we'll be doing our formal welcoming and opening prayer.
I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with myself. I will be tender with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. And I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I will love myself like a newborn baby child. I will be easy with myself. I will be easy with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I will rock myself like a newborn baby child. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I will love myself like a newborn baby child.
Tonight, we welcome you to our Blue Christmas Service, a service that has been put together especially for those of us who are not feeling particularly merry and bright right now. This is somewhere to come if, despite all the decorations and the cards and the music playing in the stores, the concerts and parties and the advertisers who want you to believe that you can buy wonderful, you don't really feel very much like celebrating. This is somewhere to come if the idea that a merry little Christmas is all you need to make your troubles go away. And it definitely has a hollow ring for you. We hope that you'll find this a safe place to be, transparent with yourself and vulnerable with the community. A safe place to admit that maybe you're not okay at the moment. Maybe what you're really feeling is sad, discouraged, or even angry. A place for you to be real with your struggles and your questions. Those of us feeling a little blue at this time for many reasons can feel edged out and forgotten as everyone else seems caught up in the mad frenzy of their own preparations and celebrations. We hope that as you look around you tonight and as you think about the Christmas message, you find comfort and hope in knowing that you are not alone. Tonight, there will be a variety of music to listen to, but we won't sing. There will be prayer, a daily word reading, and a short message, a meditation, and the opportunity to respond to and participate in a meaningful ritual. After the service, the prayer chaplains will be available to pray with you. No love offering will be received, but baskets are always available at the back of the sanctuary if you are guided to offer a love offering. Thanks to all of our service participants that are here running our audio video, live streaming with us, to Ellen Rogers with her music, Wendy Hoggett, Dawn Pence with helping support, and all of our prayer chaplains that are holding us all in the light tonight. We are grateful for their service. And at this time, we'd like to open our hearts to the daily word today, and John Vijaravala, one of our prayer chaplains, will share that daily word with us.
Good evening. The daily word for Wednesday, December 14th, 2022 is prosperity. Through Spirit, I am abundantly prospered. Today, I expand my understanding of prosperity beyond material riches. Even if I have no material possessions, I can feel richly blessed by Spirit. For this knowledge alone, I am filled with gratitude. It does not take money to pray, to sing, or to practice the presence of God. Whatever lifts me up heightens my awareness of the rich spiritual life. As I continue to cultivate that connection, I fill my mind and heart with prosperous thoughts and feelings. With gratitude, I share that joy with people around me. My prosperous attitude is infectious, and others are eager to know why I feel this way. I share the simple truth that is easy to discover. Prosperity comes from a deep knowledge that God is my source of all good. Because of this, I am abundantly prospered in many ways. And from the Holy Bible, Daniel chapter 6, verse 25, may you have abundant prosperity.
If love is why I'm here, let me be an open channel. If love is why I'm here, let me give and then receive. Give and receive. Give and receive. If love is why I'm here, let me be an open channel. If love is why I'm here, let me give and then receive.
This empty chair represents those who won't be home for Christmas. Perhaps a relationship has ended. Perhaps the people we love will be far away. Perhaps sickness or death has changed how things used to be.
in honor of our empty chair and all those it represents.
We pause to remember their names, their faces, their voices, and the memories of them that we hold in our hearts. We give thanks for the gift of their presence in our lives and welcome divine comfort. When we are feeling overcome with sadness, we affirm the peace that is greater than we can ever understand.
If love is why we're here, let us be an open channel. If love is why we're here, let us give and then receive. If love is why we're here, may we be an open channel. If love is why we're here, let us give and then receive.
The empty chair also represents pain and sadness that can come from other events that enter our lives uninvited and unwanted, leaving us reeling in pain and shock, unable to shake the feeling that it wasn't supposed to be like that. So we light this candle to represent other losses that we find ourselves faced with. The loss of health, of independence, of freedom, the loss of confidence or security, plans that did not work out, or hopes that ended in despair. We pause now to silently acknowledge some of the losses you are feeling at this time. We recognize that even as we ponder what we have lost, we know that we can never lose the love of God. We gently recall that wherever we are, God is.
Give and receive. Give and receive. If love is why you're here, may you be an open channel. If love is why you're here, may you give and then receive.
This third candle represents our courage, the courage to face our sadness, to share our feelings with others, our doubts and fears, our anger, frustration, or depression, and to dare to hope in the depths of our pain. We pause now to affirm that even in fear or grief, the courage of spirit is always available to us. We are willing to claim the courage to be vulnerable, and in doing so, experience healing.
If love is why you're here, may you be an open channel. If love is why you're here, may you give and then receive. Give and receive. Give and receive.
We light this fourth candle to remember those who have supported us in our pain. We pause to remember the prayers, the words of comfort and support, the acts of kindness from family and friends, and those who stood with us in our time of need. We are grateful for the others, friends, families, strangers even, who remind us that we are never alone. And we are grateful for the reminder of the light of spirit that is alive within us.
If love is why you're here, may you be an open channel. If love is why you're here, may you give and then receive.
And we light this fifth candle for Uvalde.
We light this candle not only for those who were lost in the Uvalde shooting, but also the families and the loved ones and those that were the first responders and supported, and for anyone who has lost loved ones in these profound ways of violence within our world. And we light this candle in honor of Ukraine and Russia and those that have lost their lives in the war and those that of any form of violence who have met their death upon our planet. For we know this is not the natural order of our world. And so we lift them up with peace and love and appreciation. And I am going to speak the names of those who lost their lives in Uvalde that was near and dear to us here and our home here in Texas. McKenna Lee Elrod, 10 years old. Layla Salazar, 11. Miranda Mathis, 11. Navia Bravo, 10. Jose Manuel Flores Jr., 10 years young. Xavier Lopez, 10 years young. Tess Marie Mata, 10 years young. Rogelio Torres, 10. Elihana Eli Amia Garcia, 9. Elihana A. Torres, 10. Annabelle Guadalupe Rodriguez, 10. Jackie Cazares, 9. Uzziah Garcia, 10. JC Carmelo Luevanos, I don't know if I'm going to say that, Luevanos, 10. Mate Juliana Rodriguez, 10. Jayla Nicole Seguero, 10. Irma Garcia, 48. Eva Mireles, 44. Amory Joe Garza, 10. Alexandria Lexi Anaya Rubio. Alethea Ramirez, and both those were 10-year-olds. As we move into this next piece, we are going to open our hearts in meditation. For these and the loved ones we're going to honor and celebrate here in a moment further. But we are going to open ourselves, first of all, with the meditation to O come, Emmanuel. And the message we're going to share tonight is short, and it's really for us to understand that this is a ritual, that it is important for us to honor and acknowledge our loved ones lost, especially in this given year, but also those that we've lost and have come before us before this year, that we still miss and honor during this time of the holiday season. Or those aspects of ourselves that are no longer operating, as we've spoken with each of the candles and the empty chair and all that it represents. This is a time for us to acknowledge ourselves for all that we are feeling during this time, to acknowledge one another that have come here and those that join us online tonight or other times in this service, to acknowledge for themselves those loved ones that they care about and they still feel the missing element in their lives and in their families, that we may share our hearts as a group together, open-hearted, knowing that we are gentle with ourselves. We're easy with ourselves. We are loving ourselves and one another in this process. So as we go forward, we're going to do the meditation after the song, and then we will be speaking to the individuals and invite you that would like to share to come up and share if you have a photo you want to share or a message or a story about a loved one or just a remembrance, whatever it is that touches your heart. All things are welcome here, the laughter as well as the tears, for they all are a part of a life that was lived and a life that was loved and a loved one that we feel in our own being. And we know that this is a time for all of us to recognize and honor others that feel the same way, that have loved ones that they're missing, and that we don't just gloss over these moments of deep, heartfelt sorrow or grief or experiences of our lives, that we take them in deeply into our heart and soul, and with the courage that Dawn spoke of and the willingness to be lifted together, but at the same time to know there is a right and perfect place for tears, for the experiences of missing that person, the experience of sadness and grief, whatever it might be that is up, or anger, as was spoken. It's all the different levels of things that we may feel in life that we don't always take time to make okay in our world, to bless fully. And we are here to know that every emotion, every feeling is a blessing. We don't have to linger and live in that for a long time, but we do want to acknowledge and experience fully those things that need to be experienced for them to be set free. And so this night is dedicated to that, to our ability to set free those people, those experiences, those feelings in our own heart, mind, and soul.
O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appears. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you, O Israel. O come, O wisdom from high, who ordered all things mightily. To us the path of knowledge shows, and teach us in the right way to go. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you, O Israel. O come and brighten morning star, and bring us comfort from afar. Dispel the shadows of night, and turn our darkness into light. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you, O Israel. O come, O King of nations, bind in one the hearts of all of mankind. build all our sad divisions cease, and be yourself our King of peace. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to you, O Israel.
So I invite you to turn within, to find that sacred place in your heart and your mind and your being where you hold the precious memories of your loved ones. I want you to create an experience here of where you feel the power of the love that you share that would cause you to mourn or grieve their loss. Whether you're experiencing the love of an animal, the love of a parent or a grandparent or a friend, a loved one, a brother or a sister, a sibling, or an aunt or uncle, or anyone in your life that has been a significant experience for you. We know that they represent a level of deep, profound love. And we invite you to move into the place where you feel that love as if it is right here, that they're laughing with you, enfolding you in their arms, loving you in all the ways that they did, that you experience them here now. And that feeling is one of gratitude, of great appreciation for their presence in your life and in our world. For all of those who have been a presence in our world, who have passed on this year, we feel deep gratitude and appreciation, and we feel them right now, celebrating with us the gift of love that they shared in this world. No matter how or what reason they left this planet, we feel the love that they left behind as a living legacy within us. And we begin to relax into that love for a moment. And maybe the grief is there too, the sadness, the tears of not having them in our journey on a daily basis, knowing that they're here in this space and time, and yet we know them. We know and feel them all around us, within us. O come, Emmanuel. Emmanuel representing God with us, God within us. We feel and know this God presence here with us and with our loved ones. And in this time of turning within, we feel that deep feeling of love and appreciation. And we feel that divine presence honoring and celebrating the life that we honor, the love that we feel, and the loss that we feel. We recognize the divinity and we honor the humanity that we have. That though we know that they are not gone, they live on eternally, we honor our feelings, our desire for their touch, for their smile, for their laugh, or their bark, or their meow, or their caw, or whatever it might be. We just take a moment to feel all the things that we're experiencing right now. And we call on that one Spirit, that one light, the Christ within, the divine all that is, in all the ways that we experience this awareness. We call on it to bring us comfort, to comfort those that are struggling wherever they may be, for every loss that this world has experienced, and for those in our own lives and our families and those of our loved ones, those that are struggling with health challenges or feeling the stretch of financial burden, are unable to feel joy in their heart right now because of pain and grief for any reason. We see them wrapped in this blanket of love as we move into a moment more in silence. As we bring our awareness back, we open ourselves to a deep feeling of inner peace. And let that peace wash through as we experience the words of this message in music.
Please let me feel inner peace from my center at the center of me. Please let me feel inner peace from my center of me. Please let me feel inner peace from my center at the center of me. Please let me feel inner peace at the center, from the center of me. My heart is open, I am aware, in me's a knowing of love, love, love. My heart is open, I am aware, in me's a knowing of love, love, love. Please let me feel inner peace from my center at the center of me. Please let me feel inner peace from my center at the center of me. Please let me feel inner peace from my center at the center of me. My heart is open, I am aware, in me's a knowing of love, love, love. My heart is open, I am aware, in me's a knowing of love, love, love. Please let me feel inner peace from my center at the center of me.
And at this time, we're going to start the experience of our ritual, of our opportunity to share of our loved ones. What we would like each of you to do is that as you're ready to come forward, is share whatever, if you have something you'd like to place on the altar for us to honor, or a picture or anything, please go ahead and bring that up. And then we'll come one at a time, and I'm going to start with something that someone else has sent to me, asked me to share for us as well. And we'll light a candle. We have candles here that you can light and place in here in honor of these loved ones that we're acknowledging this night. So let me begin this candle. This is honor from Robin O'Malley in honor of her grandmother, Tropha Barnes Miller. She says she was one of the kindest, most thoughtful, caring, strong, loving women of faith that she's ever known. She remembered everyone on their birthdays and at Christmas with a card and some small gift, even if it was something she'd made. She did not have much financial means, but what she had, she gave to others. And when she was 3 years old, Robin shares that she started going to her grandmother's house every summer for a few weeks to a few months. And she loved spending time with her. She would go swimming, to the movies, putt-putt golf, archery, and ball games. And she is feeling her grandmother here tonight with us. I also want to honor Robin's brother, who she lost this year. Robin's brother, Rick Stoner, was a very free spirit with a quick wit and a great sense of humor and a big, sensitive heart. He loved her dearly and wanted to make sure she knew it. He loved being outdoors. He loved to fish and ride his Harley with the wind in his face. So this candle, we see our Rick Stoner with the wind in his face. And whoever would like to go next. You don't have to use a microphone. I don't want to put anybody in that position that you have to use a mic. I can hold a mic if you want, but it's not necessary.
I'd like to give out the love to all of my ancestors, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, and beyond. I'm so grateful for all the memories and all the genetic engineering, because we're all the same. We all have heart and soul and love for all of each other for all of eternity.
I've got several, so I'm going to put them in between with all of you. I'm going to, first of all, acknowledge Ramon Valle, who is part of our congregation, and we have his photo up here when he was here at part of our Dia de los Muertos. And the loss of him this last week has been heavy on our hearts and our minds. And we know that his spirit of he wanted to love and be loved. And this was his vision, and he shared his light in his methods and his ways. He was in the Army for many years and gave himself to serve our country. And so we honor and light a candle in honor of Ramon. And he loved being a ladies' man. Whoever would like to be next. You want a mic?
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to put on in case I'm cold.
Okay.
I have a picture here of my parents, and they were so remarkable. They were born in in Texas, and they were ahead of their time. I mean, it's like, yeah, they were ahead of their time, and it's like, how could they have been so progressive? My father defended black people in court for barter. He was an attorney so that they could have representation. He marched us out of restaurants that wouldn't serve his Mexican friends. And he had a Chinese friend. And when I came home and I was 16 and I said that they were making fun of my friend and calling him queer, my dad said, well, you know, I try to teach you to follow Jesus. And he said, I'm an agnostic and I don't know if I believe. And he said, but Jesus said not to judge and to love your neighbor. And I want you to always treat the queer people, because that's the term that he used, with love and respect. He joined the military when he was 16, not old enough to buy alcohol, not old enough to vote, because he wanted to serve active duty in the Marines. And as a Marine, he killed people. And he developed a dark side. And he spent all the rest of his life trying to overcome that dark side. And when it came time for Vietnam, he went to my brothers and he said, I will not allow you to fight in Vietnam. He said, I will not allow you to have the pain that I live with every day. And he said, Dean, you have a heart murmur. And Alan, I'm going to get you a college deferment. And, you know, and it was just amazing. Gifts was his love language, and he made sure that all three of us got a 4-year college degree. Now my mother, bless her heart, her mother didn't want her, and she knew it, and her mother tried to abort her, and she knew it. Her father, we didn't know what it was back then, but he was on the autism spectrum, and he told her, and I don't know what it was either, he said, he never held me, he never told me he loved me, but I know he loved me. And I said, how did you know, Mom? And she said, because when I was born, she said girls didn't go to college, and they were very poor on the ranch. And he said they were going to put away the sale of one calf every year because I would go to college. I was the only one in Llano that had a piano and had piano lessons. And she said, I just know he loved me. And I said, I know he loved you too. And it is really ironic that the degree that her father gave her was secretarial science, and she married my father, who was an attorney. There's no accidents. And so whenever he went into private practice, she would be his legal secretary. And he recognized that I had the ability of public speaking, and he encouraged me to, you know, join the speech and debate teams, to enter in public speaking events. He always tried to see the strengths in all of us. And it's very hard for me on Mother's Day, on Father's Day, on Christmas. Gifts were his love language, so he was always so generous with gifts. And then, of course, you know, on their birthdays and Mother's Day and Father's Day. But one of the ones that grieves me the most today is that my daughter-in-law's brother, Danny, and I always loved him like a brother. I don't know whether you'd call him a son-in-law or a brother-in-law. He was a victim his whole life. And his pregnancy was an accident, and his father thought that his mother tried to have him. He was victimized his whole life. He was a gourmet chef, and he was able to get a free apartment at one point. And somebody, and he knew who it was, broke into that apartment and stole $80 from him. And on the day he died, he broke that victim mentality. On that day, he knew where this man was going to be, and he walked up to him, and he said, I came for my $80. And he said, you came for a lot more than that. And he took out a pistol, and he shot him in the chest, and he shot him in the stomach. The lady that was standing next to them called 911. She described the murderer to the police, and they have the murderer in custody. But Danny lived his whole life as a victim, and I believe in reincarnation. I know a lot of you do too. But regardless, it's like he stood up for himself. And that takes a lot of courage, a whole lot of courage, and he's the one that, you know, I grieve the most today.
Candles for each of them?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Roberta. Thank you. Though it was November last year, not this year, I'm going to mention my great niece because she was young and dynamic and beautiful and full of life until she felt lost and took her own life. And it's one of those sorrows that we all feel in our lives of those that have taken their lives, that we recognize that we wish we could do more, we wish we'd know, we wish she had a way of being able to overcome whatever it is that is the deep, deep darkness and sadness in another's life. And Aleandra, known as Alea, was a nurse, and she was challenged in many ways in what she was facing in her life. And yet we all saw her as an example of hope and potential in life. So it was a grave loss for us, and I know our family still misses her dearly, and we just want to light a candle in honor of Alea. And let me say, while I'm at it, I want to light a candle for everybody that has committed suicide, because there's such an upswing of that in our world right now, of those that are struggling with how to deal with their feelings, because we're not given safe spaces like this to do it. And I want to honor all of those that have committed suicide this year. Come on, Susan. Or Hallie. Come on. Do you have a microphone?
Yes.
Okay.
I brought a photograph of me at my first Christmas with Santa Claus. That particular Santa Claus was knee-high, well, knee-high to me now, lighted figure that was in the hallway. And I want to go back to believing in Santa Claus, because for me, Santa was Daddy, and Daddy was a very, very, very good man. He always carried his Boy Scout membership card in his shirt pocket. And one time, as we were in the car driving someplace, he recited it, the whole Scout law oath, and he really lived up to it. And so Santa Claus got destroyed for me in kindergarten. There was another little girl in my class named Frances, and she told me that Santa Claus wasn't real. And I went home and I talked to Mama, who was down in the basement. I'm from Iowa, we have basements back there, doing the laundry. And I asked her if it was true that Santa Claus wasn't real, and she said yes. And I noticed that the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny had that same imaginary quality to them. And so I asked her if they were real or imaginary, and she said they're also imaginary. And the worst thing was that I became angry for my parents lying to me about Santa Claus and getting me to believe in something that wasn't real. And I'm coming to a point where I'm realizing that tulpas are real, they become real because you believe in them. And I'm going, every major religion is a tulpa. And so, since I stopped going to my last church 2.5 years ago, I've done a bunch of research on who wrote the Bible. And there are good spiritual lessons in the Bible, but there's a lot of other stuff too. And I like the way you preach on the Bible. You bring out the good moral stuff. And but there's a lot. Well, anyway, so I've belonged to churches because, and I kept getting more and more fundamentalist because I was looking for the truth. And they told me, this is the truth. And so at the moment, I'm not friends with any of them. And so I'm really mourning the loss of the friendship with everybody. And I'm wanting to figure out how to be friends without having it based on having to agree religiously, without having to agree politically. And last night, for the first time, I watched a DVD of Jim Carrey in Liar, Liar. And for me, the main point was he was explaining to his son that there are times when adults have to lie, and it's love to do so. And the movie really brought out several instances of that. And so my anger over being lied to about Santa Claus destroyed my relationship with my parents. And it led me into one more religious cult after another, and I've walked away from all of those, and I'm going, but I need to go back to them, and I need to make friends. And so I need to believe in Santa Claus. And so, yeah, I'm done.
Light your candle for that. That's beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. What do you need to say?
My father had cancer in his whole body when he died. He was in the VA hospital, and he asked to be baptized. There was a Catholic priest who baptized him. He also paid for all of his burial, his everything, his coffin, and we were standing at his graveside service, and my brothers and I, we said, you know what? I think he was baptized because he taught us to live as Christians, but he never was sure, and he wanted to be sure if there was a hell, he wasn't going to go.
We know that he's good. He's good. All right, who would like to go next? Yeah, come on, Susan.
I put on the table 2 bracelets, but perhaps there should be 3. These are my mother's bracelets. There are, one is, they were both supposed to be grandchildren bracelets, but since me and my sister didn't talk to each other before Christmas, we got her the same thing, and mine had a mistake in it, and I said, well, why don't you just send it back and get one of us? So my sister ended up coining a phrase and saying, we're the original 6. And her brothers and sisters were 6. We were 6. She has 6 grandchildren. So in her mind, and my dad was a Catholic deacon, and she was very religious, 666 was a good number. And I'm like, how does this make sense? Families families are just like that. He took me out to Massachusetts to go see different writers because he was teaching class on composition and the writers of Massachusetts. So we went to Salem, Massachusetts too. And if you're not familiar, that's where the witch trials were. I'm like, what's going on? As when my dad passed 12 years ago, he had had a mild stroke. And one day Mom calls and she goes, he lost his funny. And that's when a lot of the laughter stopped in our house. So naturally I had to say something funny today, just because it feels good. And I just have this giant void right now. There's nobody calling me up and say, would you like to come make cookies? Would you like to come take me to the doctor? Would you like to come? There was a lot of requests. And I don't know how, but she wore all 6 of us and our spouses out in her decline. And it's a kind of a guilty feeling that I feel a sense of relief to not have that responsibility to do that. But so this Christmas, I'm coming to church to see the pajamas Christmas, right? We're having that. I'm like, that is major cool. It's like what we used to do in the preschool I worked at. But anyways, thank you for listening, and have a not so blue Christmas.
And light candles for your parents then. Thank you. Thank you, Susan. That's beautiful. What were their names? John and Marcy. All right, thank you. All right. Roger?
Hello. What is your name, ma'am? Callie? Hallie. Okay, Hallie, this is not to make light of anything you said, but your remarks did remind me of the 3 stages of a man's life. Rob, Bruce, y'all understand. Okay, number 1, you believe in Santa Claus. Number 2, you don't believe in Santa Claus. Number 3, you are Santa Claus. Okay. First, I want to acknowledge 2 very special guests, Nancy Mills and her daughter Raquel, and they're here to celebrate the passing of a man, Augusto, who's very beloved to them. Nancy, you and Raquel can speak or not, whatever you want to do. And tonight I want to remember my father, Henry Carson Moorfield. Before I met my wife, Eugenia, my father was the kindest person I've ever known. He was my best friend. He taught me to drive. He taught me to hunt. He just, we just hung out together. So we just clicked so well. And, grief is a strange thing. It can go on for decades, or it can go on for just a short time. It varies with everyone. It's a very individual process. And, he passed suddenly October the 22nd, 1986. And I was stuck in the grief of that for a long, long time. I feel that I'm healed now, although, someone you love like that, you never forget them. They're always with you. They're always in your heart. So I remember my father, Henry Carson Moorfield, tonight. What a wonderful man he was. What a great example he set for me and my 2 sisters. Thank you.
Light a candle for him.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Roger. Yes. You want to do Mike?
Thank you very much. Yes, last month, excuse me, we just found out that my daughter lost her grandfather, Augusto. He's from Italy, and he was a very loving man, and he loved having a grandchild. His son is his only child. She was his only grandchild, and he was her only grandfather because my parents had passed on before she was born. So we didn't get to go to the funeral, and I thought it was really important that we could commemorate and have this ceremony. So I thank you for this. And it was serendipity that I saw Roger yesterday, and he told me about this, because even though I know we'll see him in eternal life eventually, we miss him, and we miss his laughter, and I don't know what else to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do you want to light the candle too?
I'd like to remember my parents. They were the example of true love for me. If you've read my book, Sunset Romance, you know that I dedicated it to them. These are two little figurines that sat on my father's desk for ages and ages. He brought them back from Germany when he was in the war. My father was my teacher. He taught me how to work with wood, how to build, how to create. And my mother was also my teacher. She shared so much wisdom with us when we were children. One of my favorite things that she always used to say was, say what you mean what you say, but don't be mean when you say it. After my divorce, I looked to their example as to what I wanted for the rest of my life. And I knew I was going to find it, because I knew that my life wasn't over. I knew that I had a lot left to live and a lot left to love. So I'd like to remember my mom and dad for giving me that example. Now, there was somebody else that actually helped me through my divorce, and that was my dog, Roxy. She was with me for at least 10 years before I was divorced. She loved me more than my wife. When I got home, no matter how long I'd been gone, whether it was several days or whether it was 15 minutes, she greeted me at the door like I was the only thing in her life. She'd come running up to me, wagging that tail of hers, and jump into my arms. Lost Roxy about 7 years ago now, just after Kathy and I were married. But it's not with, I don't feel blue right now. I feel grateful. Grateful for both my parents' example and for the example that Roxy gave me of unconditional love.
Want to light candles for that?
I'm here remembering my dad this evening. The holidays are always kind of hard. His birthday is November 24th, so it often falls on Thanksgiving. In fact, it did this year. And the last time I saw him before he passed away was actually on Christmas. So it's just a really hard time because he passed away pretty suddenly in January. I think it's going to be 5 years this January. So anyhow, I brought this can of Dr. Pepper because he always drank Dr. Pepper, like every day. He probably drank a 6-pack a day. I can think of worse things that your dad could drink every day. But as I got older, I would always just make sure that at the beginning of the holiday season, I bought a 12-pack of Dr. Pepper so that when we had all of our family events and his birthday and Christmas, he always had something to drink. And that specific can was actually left over from the pack I had bought that year. So those are set aside so that I have 2 left. And eventually, I guess they'll go to my daughters. But so yeah, it's just a special memory. And I wasn't sure what I was going to bring today because we just moved and lots of stuff still packed up. But those are sitting on my bathroom counter. But he was just a wonderful man. He was a hardworking man. When I think back on my life and his example, by the time he was 35, he was supporting 8 people, actually 9, so including himself. There's 7 kids and my mom. My mom stayed home. So sometimes he'd work 2 jobs just, to make things work and so he could buy his Dr. Pepper. Always a family joke. But more than anything, he just loved me. Like, I would have to say in my whole life, besides maybe my husband, he just loved me so much. And in return, I just loved him so much. We took care of each other when things are hard. He had a hard relationship with his mom. She wasn't a particularly caring or warm person. So he told me that as I got older, sorry, I'm kind of all over the place, but as I got older, I loved to cook. And he had told me about this little turkey cake that he'd always dreamed that his mom would make for him and that she never made for him. And one day when he was going through his stuff, he came across the little cookbook. And all it was is like a cake mix cookbook, and you made a circle cake and you cut it and put it in a rough turkey shape with candy corns. And I made that cake every year. Every year. And then it branched out to turkey pies. And so then every Thanksgiving there had to be some turkey dessert. And every summer I picked blackberries and made him a blackberry pie. Or, like I said, buying the pop. So he always had something to drink at my house. And it was just those little things that, we cared about each other and we loved each other. Despite there being so many brothers and sisters and so many mouths to feed, we could just go for a drive up to the store and talk about nothing. And I really miss that. I miss having those out loud physical conversations with him. Although you can still, that's, I think, my biggest takeaway from losing my dad is that the love never goes away. It's just the same and it's just as strong. It's not even his spirit's with me. It's no, he is with me. The memory of all of that love and all of those talks and all of those special things are still with me. And so it's just hard when life stops on those holidays and you think about it and you feel it and you feel that physical loss. So I'm here remembering that physical loss. Just of, like I said, a hardworking man that loved me. So.
What's his name?
Rick.
Rick. All right. Yeah. Just want to light a candle. Thank you. Beautiful.
On the altar, I have a picture that Kyra was nice enough to get for me of my best friend, and also a lady that taught me unconditional love and was there for Remy and I, Marianne. Some of y'all know her. She was kind of like, had an idea, and then I would run and go do it. She would have an idea, and she would share it with us, and then we would all go do it. She was the perfect volunteer. She was at everything, always, and always had my back. I lost her in March, but I'm glad that she's gone. Her body had given out, and so now she's in a better place. I like this for Marianne.
Thank you, Wendy. We miss Marianne's bright spirit and her taking charge of making things happen that she did all the time. I'm going to talk about my very first sister-in-law, Kathy Gray. Kathy married my brother when I was still just finishing high school and going into college, and he was in college and headed to medical school. And Kathy supported putting him through college and had the first two children in my brother's families. And she was a beautiful spirit and loved horses, and she always had horses, and she always got everyone to go and ride horses and would talk about her relationship with them. She was a court reporter, and she had tremendous gifts, but she always had this desire to live life with kind of a free spirit. And she did do that, and yet she also struggled with some of her own insecurities in life. Wanting to feel more beautiful, and yet I look at pictures of her and I think she was so incredibly beautiful. I just wanted her to know how incredibly beautiful she was, what a beautiful soul and what a beautiful being she was at so many levels. And she was very involved in, her kids and grandkids' lives, and she's deeply, deeply missed. And we lost her in February. And so I have a picture of her with my niece and with one of her grandchildren. So I want to light this candle in honor of Kathy Gray, and I know she's off riding in the heavens. I have one more I've got to do. I saved this one for last for me because, as funny as it is, sometimes our pets are the hardest, aren't they? And it's all fresh. So it's only been the week of Thanksgiving that I lost Chin Chin. And Chin Chin, I didn't have all that long, though I believe Chin Chin was the reincarnation of my dog I had 18 years, Pebbles. Chin Chin was the sweetest little dog I've ever known, and such incredible love. And everybody, Chin Chin would just personify this sweetness, and he looked at me with his eyes of adoration. And he would take his little head and snuggle it into my neck. He had this just brightness to him, and everybody that met him fell in love with him immediately because he was just this little snuggle bunny. So anyway, I had helped rescue him from another family that couldn't keep him any longer. I only had him 2 years, but it felt so connected and so long in my heart. So this is for Chin Chin. I miss him every day. Anyone else? Well, I think we've had some incredible memories shared here today, and I want to honor that these have touched our hearts to hear your stories and to know that these are a representation of all the love that we share together. And we have a closing reading that Dawn is going to come up and read for us. If we can all dry our tears enough to do that. There we are.
Thank you.
think I have half the reading. Oh, nope, you had it right. I missed the heading. All right. Medical intuitive and spiritual teacher Carolyn Mace has said, "We are not meant to stay wounded. We are supposed to move through our tragedies and challenges and to help each other move through the many painful episodes of our lives. By remaining stuck in the power of our wounds, we block our own transformation. We overlook the greater gifts inherent in our wounds, the strength to overcome them, and the lessons we are meant to receive through them. Wounds are the means through which we enter the hearts of other people. They are meant to teach us to become compassionate and wise. May your experience this evening awaken greater compassion and wisdom within you." And now Carol, give us her closing words.
Thank you, Dawn. And so my hope is that this really has been a time of you finding some relief by having a place to honor your loved ones, to take a moment and really treasure those experiences that you've shared together, and take away in your heart a knowing that they feel and know your presence, and they feel and they're with you in all the ways that they're here to be with you. And that as we do this honoring, we also honor each other and the loved ones that are represented, and the loved ones that are represented by all of those things that we mentioned. And that may it lighten our hearts a little to know that we can share the grief, because grief shared is divided. It's much less than when it's kept within ourselves. So as we've shared this tonight, I feel that we've all been lightening the way for one another, for us to experience and know our loved ones are here. They know we are honoring them, and may we feel that great sacred trust of having this opportunity to say thank you. Thank you to each of them. We're grateful for your presence in our lives. We're grateful for the movement of spirit through us. And we're going to close out with just a little reprise of Inner Peace. Or is that what it is? Or no, it's something else. With whatever Ellen's going to do.
I am surrounded by love. I am surrounded by love. Say, I am surrounded by love. 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 I am surrounded by love.
May you feel that love and take it with you wherever you go this holiday season. Thank you for sharing your Blue Christmas with us. And it is great love that I feel in this room and in these photos and in the candles that we've lit. And may you take that in your heart and keep that living legacy alive for these loved ones, for they do live on through you and your memories. God bless you, friends.